Hello. When we think of grammar in the classroom, we often think of rules for tense, word order, articles, conditionals. And in most mainstream approaches, grammar is taught as a fixed system, a set of structures that students must learn to manipulate correctly. And this is the legacy of formal grammar traditions, and it often prioritizes accuracy over meaning and correctness over communicative purpose. But Hallidayan linguistics offers a radically different view, one that redefines grammar not as a set of restrictions, but as a powerful toolkit for making meaning in social contexts. Developed by Halliday, systemic functional linguistics views language not as an abstract cognitive system, but as a social semiotic, a resource for communication embedded in context and shaped by the social roles we play. According to Halliday, whenever we speak or write, we're doing more than just conveying information. We're representing our experience, positioning ourselves in relation to others, and organizing our message for clarity and flow. These three dimensions form the basis of his theory of metafunctions: the ideational, the interpersonal, and the textual. This stands in marked contrast to Chomskyan grammar, where Noam Chomsky focused on the internal competence of native speakers and the abstract structures that underlie grammaticality. Halliday was interested in performance, language as it is actually used, shaped by purpose, audience, and context. Chomsky might ask whether a sentence like "colorless green ideas sleep furiously" is grammatically well formed. Halliday would be more likely to ask what meanings that sentence could possibly convey and whether it would make sense in any real social context. For Chomsky, language is an idealized mental system. For Halliday, it's a social act. This shift in perspective has profound implications for teaching and learning. It moves the focus away from drilling forms in isolation and toward helping learners understand why we choose one structure over another in real communication. Consider, for instance, the following three sentences. You broke the vase got broken, and there's been an accident with the vase. All describe the same event, but each has a different interpersonal effect. The first assigns blame, the second is more neutral, and the third obscures agency entirely. Traditional grammar might teach these sentences as examples of active and passive voice. Hallidayan grammar, on the other hand, reveals them as strategic choices, each with its own implications for social interaction. Teaching grammar this way means showing students that every grammatical decision is also a discursive decision, one that reflects relationships, intentions, and power dynamics. At the heart of Halliday's model are the three metafunctions of language. The ideational metafunction is how we represent our experience of the world. Who did what, to whom, when, and how. If I say the manager cancelled the meeting, I'm presenting a specific version of events with clear participants and processes. The interpersonal metafunction is about how we use language to interact with others, to express attitudes, make requests, offer suggestions, or issue commands. Saying, "Could you close the window?" instead of "close the window" softens the demand, creating a more polite and cooperative tone. Finally, the textual metafunction concerns how we organize information, how we sequence ideas, highlight what's important, and ensure coherence. Starting a sentence with today, for example, foregrounds the time frame and helps structure the message in a way that aligns with the listener's expectations. When applied to the classroom, these ideas help teachers move beyond rule-based instruction and towards a functional, meaning-focused pedagogy. Instead of simply teaching learners to identify the passive voice, we might ask them when and why it's used, to hide agency, to sound more formal, or to maintain objectivity. Instead of teaching students how to form questions, we might explore the subtle difference between would you mind and can you, and what each one achieves in interpersonal terms. In writing instruction, understanding the textual metafunction can help students craft stronger openings, manage information flow, and use cohesion devices more effectively. This is especially powerful in contexts like academic English, business communication, where the social purposes of language are tightly linked to specific genres. A Hallidayan approach encourages us to ask, what are the typical grammar choices of a scientific report? How does a job application letter establish rapport while still remaining formal? Why do news articles often begin with passive structures? These are the kinds of questions that students learn to answer, not by memorizing rules, but by exploring language in context. Crucially, Hallidayan linguistics also supports genre-based pedagogy. The idea that students should learn the grammatical and textual conventions of different types of texts in a scaffolded, purposeful way. When we teach students how to write a problem solution essay, for instance, we're not just giving them a structure, we're showing them how meaning is organized functionally to achieve a communicative goal. We move from understanding what a clause is to understanding what a clause does, how it can introduce a problem, offer a justification, or signal a shift in an argument. All of this transforms the role of the teacher. Instead of acting as a gatekeeper of correct forms, the teacher becomes a guide, helping students navigate the landscape of linguistic choices and empowering them to use language more effectively in real-world contexts. Grammar is no longer something to get right or wrong. It becomes something to explore, reflect on, and refine. In the end, Hallidayan linguistics gives us a deep, rich understanding of how language works. It reminds us that grammar is not merely structural, it's functional, dynamic, and purposeful. And it invites us, as teachers and learners, to see every sentence not just as a construction, but as a choice that shapes meaning, negotiates relationships, and reflects the world we live in. Thank you.